ADHD and its strengths and vulnerabilities. In terms of ADHD, I will touch upon its good and bad sides, and we will be relating that to resilience and focusing on what can be done to increase said resilience. ADHD, I wonder what kind of a profile that comes up to your mind. When I asked Google, to find some visuals, I Googled this and I've seen negative things. Forgetfulness, irritation, distraction, worries, academic problems, and research also focus on negatives and treatments. But in recent times, we see some different things emerge in this regard. Of course, neuro, we call it a neurodevelopmental development issue from early on in life and carrying on to the adulthood. It's heterogeneous, it manifests differently in everyone. These people are claimed to have ADHD and they are very successful people. But as I've said, we always focus on the negatives of ADHD, but what makes difficult in their lives. Such headlines and titles may happen, more instinctive and risque behavior and developmental issues, and as a result, academic and occupational performance problems, social relations and interrelational problems. Okay, we call this executive functions, purposeful actions, and adapting to environmental conditions. It is all of it, such as organization, time management, problem solving skills, and much more. And fulfilling all of those functions as an executive function, we see inhibitory control, working memory, and cognitive flexibility are core subdomains. In ADHD patient, especially in cognitive flexibility, inhibitory control, and sometimes working memory, problems emerge. This, in terms of ADHD prescribed children, it's a study focusing on them, especially something is emphasized here that 89% of them have one disturbance in their functionality, and working memory at 62% was the prevalent one. 35% have two or more core subdomain functionality loss. The strength of the symptom and the positive correlation between the child's development and being age makes working memory problems much more apparent, but heterogeneity is where the much more apparent, and we're talking about heterogenic group in a group of all unique cases, and without such analysis, ADHD is sometimes regarded as instinctive movement without thought. We're talking children, adolescents, and adults even. When it comes to childhood and younger ages, we see instinctiveness drive forward. And when it comes to ADHD, becomes into play, the problems may grow even larger. Be much more instinctive and making much more riskful actions. And as a result, sadly, in social scale, dysfunctionality and academic success problems emerge. From a developmental perspective, we had a review. We see prefrontal cortex motivation delay and cognitive functionality disturbances analyzed, especially in ADHD hyperactivity cases. They do not focus on reward. They focus less on punishment, but more in reward, and it is said that it is a factor of risk. One emphasis put forward here is that this symptom over years has a cluster of neurodevelopments, not just in cognitive capabilities, but also emotional regulation side of things. We see difference in this meta-analysis, especially in terms of emotion regulation and emotion wavering, weaker rage, anger management, social functionality, and academic functionalities have all been negatively impacted. And neuroscanning, neuroimaging, we see in ACC, amygdala, and prefrontal cortex, we see small but prevalent disturbances. We have just talked about some symptoms: instinctiveness, emotion regulation, and in addition, so inability to get social cues and clues, social interactivity lacking points, and more. So, in terms of social interactions and interpersonal relationship, this group suffers from hindrances. In younger groups, ADHD described individuals are focus of the study. We see less acceptance by colleagues, and friendship establishment and maintenance is seen to be harder, and with many negative effects such as anxiety, social isolation, low self-esteem, and behavior problems, academic problems, and many more negative results. Academic and occupational underachievement and lack of performance is also observed. And in long-term assessment in this observation study, it is said that high school dropouts compared to others is 3.7 times more, and employment is double in amount, which paints a negative process. Okay, we just talked about negatives. As I've said in the beginning, yes, research focuses on negativity and treatment, but in recent times, positives and advantages have come forward with some studies. Again, it is heterogeneous. Again, cognitive, emotional, and behavior terms, we see individuals become unique. In strengths, studies are as follows, some of them. This is one done on adults and with self-reporting. Open-ended questions are being answered by all attendees, and almost all of them have a positive take on this, and most reported positivity of it is creativity, high energy, and attendance. Women's awareness have been reported as higher and more acute. And the data here provides us this pie chart: creativity and being energetic, also flexibility, socio-affective skills, and higher cognitive skills are also mentioned. To look at it closely, creativity and innovation. When it comes to ADHD's relation, there is a study here. Of course, they get more original ideas, think practically, take part and success in artistic activities in ADHD described patients. Those that fulfill the description and those have much more dominant sides compared to others, we see creativity scores are a cognitive side of ADHD. In terms of hyperfocus, there are many studies. Hyperfocus and isolation from external alerts is a descriptive, and we see hyperfocus and high energy level, and we talk about attention spans, but hyperfocus in this regard is seen intensively studied. There are large-scale sample studies. Adults, 78%, have said that at least once in their life had a hyperfocus era in their lives where the creativity and the effort has been put forward and it helped to recover the workload and achievements. Searching for something new, having prepared for multiple types of external warnings are also some keynotes, and having adaptability adaptability in difficult times, having practical solutions in emergencies compared to other people seem to be better. Again, we talked about social difficulties. However, in a heterogenic case, as it is, I wish to reiterate that people described with this are considered to be empathetic, love to talk, fun-loving, and playful. In many studies, we've seen that also they are adventurous, courageous, and up and at it, as it were. In social activities, in sports, it is emphasized that this could be an advantage, again, combined with hyperfocus being advantageous in academy and business life. Okay, advantages and disadvantages aside, we have resilience now. Do we have any definitions or any ideas emerging from resilience? Are they more resilient or less? Not too many studies have been conducted on this. In some of them, they are shown to be less resilient, but in others, it is shown that they have the same amount of resilience. But there is no study I've seen yet that they are more resilient. Again, resilience, having a positive adaptation and stress management despite harsh, stressful conditions. It's a really dynamic process. In adolescents and children, the ADHD, it is shown here that the resilience decreases in this group. Compared to control, we see those defined with ADHD have more comorbidity to have depression. A study focusing on children, those that have ADHD or don't, it is shown that they have different resilience level. In particular, in terms of social functionality, motor functionality, having good, it is shown that resilience benefits from those. High self-respect, strong cognitive capabilities are emphasized that improve resilience. And again, in another study, we have seen different resilience levels. High IQ is considered and opinionated that is a protective factor. An interesting result that they say psychostimulant usage actually coincides but is in the opposite range of resilience. Researchers' assumption is that high resilient, high functional people and their and say that perhaps their parents should look into less, quote, treatment. Functionality and resilience, and this study focused on academic success. If their social functionality and academic performance or school functionality is good, it is shown that their resilience is also good. Social capabilities, social capability studies that increase resilience are noted. Again, long-term follow-up studies should be included. I wanted this one. It is a 10-year one, and in 10 years, they have shown what has happened in their study. And the beginning, they have been asked questions, and answers were said that they are, in the beginning, it was the most difficult, a lot of tagging, prescriptions were tough, but over time, things have improved and the methods that improved when factors are questioned. Almost all attendees have said that meaningful relationships. There's an emphasis on social bonds here. And living with this description, developing practical life easy, making life easier with their factors. And they say they put effort to live a normal life. And once they reach adulthood, they report that their goals are now being the best they can be. Again, in this study, tagging and name calling is emphasized, and in some other studies, it was also heavily emphasized that name tagging is something that decreases social functionality and self respect and self value. So, in our case, as clinicians or as experts in our fields, the most important emphasis in all of this was that to increase resilience, to taking steps, start with psychoeducation. Even though we talk about the negatives, there are positives and strengths that we often do not talk about. We should focus on the negatives, positives first, and put them into evaluation, and have the diagnosed person and their relatives talk to them and have a more socially widespread psychoeducation to increase the social functionality and improve the quality of life overall. In this presentation, lastly, as a reminder, I have this to put forward. Yes, stigmas should be broken, strength should be focused on, superpower should be supported. Thank you.